Good morning, everyone. The time is now, 6 o'clock, I think. 6:30.
5:30 for me.
5:30 for you. Well, I'm Quinn M,
I'm Quinn G.
and welcome back to Quinn Squared. Now, this is a little different,
Yeah, this is wildly different.
wildly different. So,
It's
uh,
now no longer a specific topic. At least this episode is not.
at least, because this is now on YouTube, there's going to be some new people listening who are a little confused. So, why don't we explain exactly what this
Oh, right.
is, Quinn
Yes,
G?
yes. So basically, Quinn Squared is a gaming-related radio show that Quinn and I started in college and are now continuing to make episodes after college.
Exactly. Now that we both graduated from college, now we're living our own lives. We'll get to exactly what we've kind of been doing in the meantime in the last month,
Yeah,
but we're doing
yes,
our own lives, and we still like talking about video games, talking about the stuff we
yeah.
enjoy, whether those
We
movies, books. We like it.
Yes, we felt there were not enough podcasts about two white guys talking about media. So we
True.
figured we'd throw our hats into the ring.
And we're both named Quinn, so
There we go.
that's not gonna be
I-
confusing for
Could
anyone who's
you,
new.
yeah, can you think of another show that has this gimmick? No, I think we're
No,
the only one.
I think we're the only podcast that talks about video
No,
games.
yeah, so I think it works out just fine enough.
But that's kind of the premise for anyone who's new.
Yeah, it's pretty basic. In the past, we've done specific episodes on like topics that we've chosen, like top 10 bosses in
Hmm.
games, favorite blank in games, yada yada yada. But for this first episode that's not on campus, we are going to be just talking about things that we've interacted with recently and about our own lives.
Hmm.
Vaguely, of course, as to not dox ourselves.
That is the goal, specifically
Yeah.
throughout the month of May. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, well, we talk about what we've done throughout the month of May, yeah.
and that's like obviously we're gonna start off with talking about what's going on in our lives. As I mentioned earlier, we both just graduated, and a few things have
Yes.
happened.
Things
Uh,
have been happening. We have been doing things.
Absolutely. And past that, we're going to talk about, books we've been reading. We're going to be talking about movies, any TV shows we've been watching, and then we'll
Yep.
end with talking about what games we've been playing. So,
Yes.
and is there anything I'm missing, Quinn?
No, I think we can just get right to it.
Awesome. Well,
I. It's
you
pretty
want to,
straightforward.
it is pretty straightforward. You want to kick us off with what's your
Sure.
life been for May?
Yes. So most of May was pretty nothing. It's the kind of period between, I just graduated and now I have to wait to get that first job to start. And hopefully this next week I'll actually get to start working as a digital reporter. Quinn, we've talked about this before. But
Congratulations.
yes, thank you. I'm actually a little anxious to get working again
Hmm.
and start making money.
I do
I
think it
forgot I.
is funny. I would like to mention this just for the audio listeners. Quinn is going to be working at the place I just left,
Yes,
so it's kind of like a one in one out situation.
pretty much, and I think it was your recommendation to them that I think is one reason why that got offered so quickly, which I'm thankful for because I'm
Problem.
like,
Oh yeah,
okay,
no problem. I mean, yeah,
get, get,
they know
work.
me. They could trust what I say, and when I say, hey,
Yeah,
this guy's good, they're like, okay, we believe you,
yeah,
and that works
but
out. So I'm
yeah,
excited to hear how that goes.
yeah, it
I'm
should
looking
be
forward to that.
nice. I like that it's a 9 o'clock start, so that means I
Hmm.
can wake up at a reasonable time and have like an hour to kind of do what I need to do.
Sure.
Um, and since I'm in like a downtown area, on my lunch breaks I might go up the street to mess with my friend who works at the bakery.
Oh, sure.
Um, yeah, and maybe they'll give me free food. I think that would
Maybe.
be
I
cool.
think you could probably get away with that.
I think I could. They've given it to me before, or leftovers, so but that should be fun. Um, or at least, you know, next part of my life, if you call it fun. I have no idea.
Sure.
I'm just ready to get work and make money because I want more money. I
Money.
did forget. I did have like one last check coming in for my teaching
Oh, okay.
this previous semester. So I got an extra 1,000-ish bucks that just came in the other
Look
day.
at
I'm like, oh,
that.
I know. I was like, I kind of forgot about that. So that was a pleasant surprise. Um, but yeah, besides that, I went to Colorado for the last. I was in Colorado for the last like 5 days, and just got back this morning.
How was that? I know you saw your brother.
Yes, I. So he came up, because we had to swap cars and like get rid of his old one because it was a pretty junky at this point. And so I just drove back with him and then flew back this morning. So I spent a few
Okay.
days with him in Fort Collins. And I've been up there a few times now, and like Fort Collins, Colorado, just
Sure.
to emphasize that. And that area is just very cool. Did
Yeah.
some hiking over there. Well, hiking. It was more like driving around the nature area. No hiking really this time.
Hmm.
Um, Watched a few things, which I'll talk about later. Went to one of my dad's friends has a cabin up there, and so he invited me and my friends to go just since no one was going to be there this weekend to sleep over there.
Sure. That's
And
nice.
that was in an area we drove by when we visited Colorado. Do you remember when we drove to the hotel where
Yes.
that was inspired
I
by The
remember
Shining?
that.
You remember like the mountain path? Like it was like very mountainy to
Some
get there.
kind of, yeah, I kind of remember some of that.
Basically you're driving on that road, but you turn left at one point and then you go into like a private cabin area, and that's where that cabin was.
Okay.
Um, but one really cool thing was that my brother joined an amateur hockey league, so I
Ooh.
got to go watch him play his first game yesterday, which was honestly pretty fun.
Okay.
I
That sounds
didn't.
fun.
I, yeah, I'm a fan of hockey. I used to play it when the like league started in my town,
Sure.
but I have not been on the ice in forever, and my brother even more so. So, but it's kind of one of those things once you learn how to ice skate, you kind of don't forget it. So he never fell down, but he definitely needed to shake off the rust. But it was
Okay.
really cool to see him do that.
No, that's
Um,
awesome. I like that.
yeah, you still have only been into like the more mountainy area, right? Because you've only been there the one time we went.
Yeah, the one time I went to Colorado is when the two of us went a few years back. Whatever we saw there, that is all of Colorado I've seen in
Oh, there's
person.
there's still a lot of it you definitely should check out at
Oh,
some point.
sure, of course I
It's
would do
it's
that.
awesome. And yeah, it was a great time there. A lot of the other things that I did, I'll mention as we kind of go on,
Hmm.
since that pertains to media. But yeah, another trip to Colorado. It's not like I've done that a bunch of times already in my life, but it was a
Sure.
lot of fun.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Uh,
All
I
right.
is that everything for yours?
Yeah, for like at least just basic real world
Yep.
shenanigans. Yeah.
Okay. So after I graduated, a week later, I moved to a different state,
Yes.
10 hours, well, 10 plus hours away. And
Yeah.
so the first night we got there, we went to a baseball game, and you know what? That was actually pretty good. Baseball, it's a sport I don't watch often, but whenever I do, I always kind of forget. I do enjoy this. I do kind of like this. Uh,
I think it's one of those sports that is definitely enhanced by like the people you're with. So,
mhm.
and I know in like in your case with like you're moving, you're with your family. I think that would be a good time to watch some baseball.
Yeah, and it's definitely also this is a very, duh statement, but a lot of sports I think are better in person. And
Yeah,
baseball is no exception to that. Again, I'm not saying anything controversial there, I don't think, but
yeah,
at least the game we went to was pretty fun. Uh, but yeah, that was the first night, and then they left Saturday morning. I kind of chilled in the apartment, got some chores done, got paperwork done. That was the main thing I needed to make sure I got
fun,
done with, like insurance, electricity, internet, and that's all taken care of. Like yesterday, I had to go to the DMV to get a state license,
fun.
so that's all. Well, not yesterday, 2 days back because it was closed yesterday, but that's all taken care of. Like paperwork should be good. And then I started up my new job on Tuesday, which you know what, uh, very different from where I previously worked, but a lot of similar aspects. So I'm still learning. I'll be training this next week too, but I think we'll do just fine
I'm
there.
assuming, yeah, I'm assuming it's still pretty like nothing new quite yet.
What's the
Or have
main
you been?
I mean, the main thing that's different is just like the structure of everything. Like the actual content is the exact same of what
Yeah,
I'm used to doing,
yeah.
but the actual like structure of how things are presented is completely different, and that's what I'm learning more of and need to work on a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
But again,
Uh, uh,
it's been a week. It has been 5 days of me working here, so grain of salt. Sorry, I'm not perfect in 5 days, but
yes. Well, I would be shocked, honestly. I that would I you'd be it'd be pretty impressive to adapt that quickly to a
hmm
new environment that you've never been in. So, yeah.
yeah, that's one thing. Like, I was kind of beating myself up for just being like, oh, I should be doing better. Then I realized, bro, it is day 4. Calm down.
Yeah.
Calm yourself.
I think situations like that, it's gonna take at least a month to really start getting acclimated. At least, in my opinion.
hmm
But you could do it quicker, for all I know. But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, it would take me probably at least a month for me to get acclimated in like a brand new space if I was moving.
Oh yeah, but the
But
actual city's been pretty nice. I haven't explored too much, but I've honestly been enjoying just. I've really enjoyed the peace and quiet
mm,
here than back at home. I've
yeah.
really enjoyed that. That's been really nice. No one bothers me, and I'm not dogging on anyone, but that's really nice. I just have my own
Yeah.
space, and so I've thoroughly enjoyed that. I even have my own porch that I've been reading
There we
outside.
go. I
Um,
love reading on the porch.
oh, it's great. It's like a tiny porch. Quinn, I don't know if I've showed you, but I can for sure send you a photo if you want.
Yeah, you send me a photo when you get the chance.
Oh, I can just take a photo right now,
Oh,
but it's a good porch. We went and bought 2 desk chairs, not desk chairs, but outside chairs. So, um, I sending it to you. That's what it
okay.
looks like. So I'll have my chair, then I'll have another chair to kind of like either
Yeah.
have guests or put my feet on.
Oh yeah, it is a tiny little thing.
Yeah,
But I
it's
mean,
not too bad though.
for it's a book nook.
Exactly. Audio listeners love you to death. You don't get to see.
No, only I get to, and so does Quinn.
Yeah. And then whoever else comes over to the apartment.
That is cool.
But I've been talking to all the coworkers, trying to learn the lay of the land, trying to figure out what's the culture kind of
Yes.
like. Very different, like culturally, with how people interact with each other. But we'll get used to that, and it's nothing too crazy. Luckily for me, there's also a gym. Since audio listeners love you to death, you don't know me. I do work out. Hashtag flex. But
There we go.
there's a gym 3 minutes away, so I've been able to go every morning. That's been pretty good. I've discovered Aldi is phenomenal
Yes,
for
Aldi is a
groceries.
great Aldi is a great store.
It's just
Like,
so good. So that's been nice. But I've settled in well, I think, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm excited to see what happens in the next amount of time I'm here.
yeah, a
That
lot
is
of
my
things can
life.
happen in this new space.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh, I see you have in our show documents something for listening. Would you like to tell us a little bit
Yes,
about that?
I've been listening to a lot of music lately, and I won't
Mm-hmm.
cover all of it. There's two things I want to briefly touch on. One is a band I had never heard of until my brother played them for me last week. It's a group called Lip Critic. They are like a techno punk group that have and they only have 2 albums out and they're only like 30 minutes each, but they
Mm-hmm.
have such a great like bouncy rhythm to the music that I latched on to them pretty quickly, and I've listened to their newest album at least 3 times now, and
Okay.
I'm just like, this is really fun, and like it sound like there I've heard this genre before. Like I've heard like punk mixed with like techno, punk mixed with like more
Hmm.
traditional sounding things. But like this one just really has like I just imagine the guy who's singing this is like bouncing around on the stage whenever he performs or something. Because I don't know how you could sit still listening to this music. And
Okay.
I've really enjoyed it. I think it's like something kind of unique in the indie scene.
I'll definitely have to check that
Um,
out.
and then another group I wanted to talk about is Boards of Canada, which I've never brought them up to you, but this is one of my favorite groups ever. This
Okay.
is a electronic kind of ambient group that is like perfect for like atmospheric, like if you just want to sit down and listen to atmospheric music. They kind of their staple is like weird spacey techno sounds intermixed with like samples that are like audio recordings of like things from 50 years ago, like random
Okay.
like maybe like ads or like PSAs and just weird you know weird sources that they're pulling from, things you've never heard
That's
of before.
interesting, though. I'm intrigued by that.
Yes, and I've listened to them for years now. I find them to just be incredibly easy group to just like I'm gonna put on I just want something easy, kind of easy, but also like weird to
Sure.
listen to, and so I'll put this on in the background. And the reason I'm bringing them up now is that they just the other day released a new album after 13 years.
Ooh,
of
okay.
And so far, it's my favorite album of the year. I think there's a few tracks on that are just like it's like what they've done before. They've been around since like '98, so
Mm-hmm.
it's been but like they have a few songs that is very reminiscent of their early works, but then also a few tracks that are like this is something they've never done before. This weird sampling. They got like this like bass guitar that's like going hard with the synth, and it just sounds so unique. And then like another song, they pull out a sitar, and I'm like, this is heavenly. This is such a. I did not expect the sitar to be bust out. Um, and so I've listened to that album twice now. I listened to it on the plane ride back, and I just closed my eyes and was like really vibing with it.
Okay.
Um,
Wow, I
and
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, would recommend. This is definitely a like I'm chilling type music. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to like, if you like want to focus on something, I found this to be good work music, but like definitely not high intensity at all.
Okay, gotcha. Since you
Yeah.
mentioned it, there were two albums I listened to on the
Okay.
way
Okay.
to this new
Oh
state.
right. Yes. Because I sent you some.
Yeah,
Yes.
because Quinn over here sent me some albums so I can listen to. There's two I do want to quickly mention. The first one
Yes.
is "Good for Your Soul" from Oingo Boingo,
Oh yes.
which is there are now multiple songs from this specific album on my liked playlist. Um,
And these are
No Spilled Blood.
yes.
Who do you want to be? And then my
Yes.
favorite song in the album is "Wake Up." It's 1984.
You picked the main three I've listened to from that album.
And there's some
I
others that
like
are
I
also
like
really
I like
good.
yeah, I like all the songs on that album, but like you picked up the main three I listened to.
I love that.
But I knew you would like it, especially since you loved Dead Man's Party.
Yeah, Dead Man's Party is a good album. So listen to this. It's more it's not the exact same, but like similar vibe. That's been really nice, and
It
I
does
liked
because
that.
like Dead Man's Party is almost like a Halloween-ish sounding album. To me, it reminds me of the fall.
I can see
While
that.
while good for the soul, good for your soul is kind of all over the place and less cohesive, which is fine because it's very fun still.
Yeah, but that's good.
Um,
And then the other album I listened to that I want to highlight is "Off the Wall" from Michael Jackson.
yes.
Let me tell you, there are a lot of songs. Uh, so this is, for those who don't know, this is a much more disco Michael Jackson album than anything
Very
else he
cool.
has ever done before. And you know what?
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yes. It
There's
is. I actually had never heard that album, at least all the way through, until like I think last year,
okay.
and it is just, yeah, it's just very fun. It's very much like you put that on if you want to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And listening to this one is also made me realize that "Get on the Floor" might actually be my favorite Michael Jackson song, or at least it's slowly becoming one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs. Because I don't know if you've listened to that one recently, but listen to.
I
Do you
I
remember? Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I'm pulling it up now, or you just kind of look at the lyrics. I'm sure if I heard at least like 5 seconds of it, I'd remember it. Um, but but I trust that it's something I'd recognize.
Yeah, if you have a second later, you should check that. Just
Yes,
look
no,
at
I
that
will
again.
definitely check it out.
But yeah, that's slowly probably become my favorite Michael Jackson song. That is just, it's so fun. I really enjoy it, and wow. I was just immediately heard it and was like, okay, this is gonna. I like it, and then I've been listening to it this whole week, and it's been great. So that's what I've been listening
That's
to that I wanted to highlight.
nice. That makes me feel good.
Oh yeah, both these
Makes me
were
happy
Quinn's
that I sent you good
recommendations.
music.
Yeah, so there's Quinn's recommendations.
Yes. You should of those that I sent you. I did send you I sent you a bunch of albums, but there was like one of those suggestions was just one song by Danny Elfman, who is the lead singer of Oingo Boingo. You
Okay.
should check out that song and I want to hear your thoughts on it. It's called Gratitude. I think you'd like that. That one's very fun.
I might just have to do that then.
Yeah.
Yippee! Do you want to
Yippee.
talk about the books or what you've
Yes.
been
Books.
reading?
Yes,
You
I
can just, if
have.
you want, do you want to go back and forth or do you want to go through all three of
Let's
yours?
go back and forth.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've been reading a few different things. In this last few days, I actually started two more books. But first, I'll start off with the main one. I've been reading. Actually, I have this book right next to me, and I realized my bookmark fell out for the
Oh,
second time, so I have to figure out which page I was on. But anyways, it's the book The Great Santini. This is a kind of classic book. I had heard of it before. I had never known what it was about. And the main reason I would say the only reason I'm reading this book is because I joined my uncle's book club on a whim because I was like, sure, you know what? I'll read with some, people. And I'm definitely the young blood in the group. Um
sure.
which is kind of funny. But it's like, I don't know, it's an excuse to read some books I may have never looked at. And so The Great Santini is basically about this kind of dysfunctional family living in the 60s, and they're dysfunctional because their dad, the patriarch,
Mm-hmm.
is this hardcore like marine who's like all about like discipline and wanting his kids to be the best they can possibly be, but while also being very very abusive and like very much, you know, framing his abuse as like jokey and like natural.
Mm-hmm.
And I it is a kind of interesting book in the sense that like it's not like the whole family versus this kind of monster. It's like you're seeing this some members of the family kind of have like a love-hate relationship with this father figure who calls himself the Great Santini, and it's because some bits you'll have like the family off to the side talking about like, yeah, our dad's a monster, what a
Mm-hmm.
horrible man. And then the next scene, the it shows like the main son holds some like reverence towards him because he's like one scene he's gifted his dad's old marine jacket because it's his 18th birthday, and he's like feels like very happy about that. And so I'm curious if it's supposed to be like, this family that's kind of stuck in this emotional toxic relationship with this very loud boisterous figure who
Sure.
is just all demanding. um because it's definitely not framing him to be good, at least I would hope not, because he
Mm-hmm.
is just kind of insane.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. Like it takes a second to really kind of figure out where it's going and what it's trying to do. But I'm like 200 plus pages into it now, like roughly halfway through it, and I think it's definitely it's got me interested. I feel like I'm definitely more often than not I latch onto stories that are a bit more fantastical right away. But this one's this one's very grounded, but it's still interesting. I'm kind of curious as to what sort of discussion I can bring to the book club once we all finish it, because like
Sure.
my uncle, some of his friends that are around like 50 years old as well, and I think there's like a 30-year-old guy in there too somewhere. It's just kind of like we'll see what happens. Um, but I think it is an interesting story so far.
Okay, that's good to
But
hear.
yeah,
Uh,
throwing the ball to you.
sure. Okay, so over the last 2 months, this one I don't. This one took me a lot longer to finish than I wanted to, and I'll explain why in a second. But I finished up the book Annihilation. Now, those anyone listening might recognize that Annihilation is actually a movie that came out in 2018 starring Natalie Portman. Apparently, there was a book. It's based off of a book, which I did not realize.
I didn't. You brought this news to me. I was not aware of
I
this.
didn't realize it. One of my coworkers back home was reading this, and the cover looked interesting, and I was talking with him about it, and I said, "Okay, I'll read it." The book is very different from the movie, from what I could figure out. The movie, the Annihilation movie, and for anyone who hasn't read or watched that, it's dealing with this kind of space called the Shimmer, where DNA gets scrambled and readjusted where you enter it. So there's going to see
Yeah,
like weird, wacky animal combinations, for example. Um, and the movie deals more with the spectacle of that, where you'll see a lot more pretty scenery, like some trees that have ice growing on them, not in like a snow, like it's cold kind of way, but like they are just made of ice. Some deer that will move in sync, some alligators that have shark teeth, for example. And so the movie kind of deals with more the spectacle of it. The book deals with the more psychological aspect of it, from what I could find, dealing with how the DNA actually messes with the psyche of the four main protagonists. And that I thought was pretty interesting because it makes the narrator kind of unreliable, but it makes all the other characters unreliable too. And that was really interesting. So there's definitely stuff to get from both books. The thing that's the exact same in not both books, the book and the movie. There's things to get from both of them if you're interested in both of them. The only thing that's really the same between the two of them is the stuff involving the main girl's husband is pretty much exactly the same in both of them. That being
Hmm.
said, this is a really boring read. I couldn't even. This took me way. This is only like 200 pages, and it took me a lot longer than it should have because it's just a boring, uninteresting read. Because not much actually happens in the book. Uh, they go to the place, they go to a lighthouse, they explore a little bit more, and then everyone kind of starts to go crazy. That's about it. It like not much actually does happen in the book, which is a little disappointing to me. Uh, maybe I had unrealistic expectations since I've
Mhm.
seen the movie first. I don't know, but these
Well,
are.
I
Go
like to
ahead.
chime in. I think since we both seen the movie, we kind of understand what makes that movie pretty good. At least, like for me, I think a big part of that movie is just the visuals of like the Shimmer place when they're inside it. I
Sure.
think that there's so many really cool shots or just like visual ideas in that movie that even if the plot itself, I think the plot of that movie is just fine. It
Yeah.
does its job and is pretty interesting. But even if like let's say it was really bad, I still think the how that movie looks and like some of the like horror scenes in that movie is are just super cool looking.
Yeah.
Like the beach at the end is just I think that's just so beautiful. The one video that they stumble upon of like the people who were there before, I think that's actually really scary.
Yeah.
And I think that just written out can be effective, but not as effective as actually seeing it visually.
Hmm.
So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and the book doesn't even have too many moments where it's actually describing the world around you, which is I thought was kind of disappointing.
Mm.
Um, but again, I don't know if
That,
that's
that
I don't know if that's a fair comparison or fair thing to
I
say.
I th- I think it is just because it is big. Well, I mean, I guess the book was before the movie,
Yeah.
but still, like, I feel like at this point more people have seen the movie. I don't really know how popular it was before the movie.
I
You
don't
know,
know, but at least out of all the
it's a
three books I've not including the graphic novels, but the three books I've read this year, Pure Nasi, The West Passage, and then Annihilation. This is like comfortably my least favorite of all of them, but I think it is worth checking out for the just to see the psychological aspects of all these characters and how
and
they kind of become go crazy. That is pretty interesting to check out, I think.
and probably if you're a big fan of the book, I would imagine as well. I mean, the movie, sorry. Because I would imagine if you didn't like the movie, you probably wouldn't really like the
Yeah,
book.
probably. Apparently, this is also a series. Like, there's four books in this series.
Yes, no, you told me that the other day, and I
So
was like,
we'll get
huh.
to that eventually, but that is not a priority.
I'm interested if it like goes past what is shown in the movie, or if it's just
Oh yeah, the
encompassing
endings are
more.
completely different. So
Okay, okay, okay.
so yeah, I again, the movie is just loose, very loosely based on this book.
Yes.
From what I could figure out, it's very loose.
Okay.
So,
But
but I mean,
it at
both are
least set a
different.
ground. It set a framework for what would be a very fun movie,
Yeah.
and one I would definitely want to check out again at some point, or at least just like pull up scenes from it,
Mm-hmm.
because I just think there's some really cool parts of that movie.
I agree, and that's all I had to say about Annihilation.
Alrighty. So the next two books I'll talk about, I'll probably still pass it back to you after this next one. But the next
Sure.
two I have less to say about just because I'm pretty early on in them.
Okay.
But the next one I want to talk about is a book called Thud. This is another book in the Discworld series, a series of fantasy novels I've been reading for a few years now. Last of which was the last one I read was Small Gods, the book about the young monk boy whose god is talking to him through a turtle,
Mm-hmm.
which I talked to you about
Yes.
before. So this book I picked up when I visited a store in Fort Collins called the Bizarre Bazaar, which is a book slash record store slash like collectible store. It's a neat little space with just books packed all around it. And what was kind of funny is that on all the shelves were a bunch of like really cool collectible toys that all said display only, you can't buy these basically. And so the owners were just flexing on their collection.
Okay.
Like I just thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, there's so many toys here and you can't buy them.
I think that's funny. I like that.
But yeah, I've been reading Discworld for a long time now, and since there are just so many books in the series, I think like 35-ish or something around that. I kind of like to do it where every time I visit a bookstore, I just like to see if there's issues of that one of those there. So it's like I pick up a book every time I visit a new bookstore or just like check out a place, and so it's not like I need to. I'm trying not to do the thing where I'm like I'm gonna order all of them individually on eBay or
Mm-hmm.
Amazon. I'll make a bit of a game out of it of like I'm not going in order. I'm just kind of picking up whenever I see one.
Sure.
And that's how I inquired this one called Thud, which is the basic plot of this one. So in the Discworld books, they each of the books kind of follow a different set of characters, and in this book, it follows a Night Watch like police group that, or like it's kind of like a medieval police group that are working within this the largest city in this series, Ankh-Morpork, I think is how it's pronounced, and it's basically like a city riddled with like crime and just a bunch of nasty characters and whatnot. But the basic setup of this book is that a dwarf of high importance, has been murdered, and all signs point to a troll having committed the murder. And so a race war is about to break out in the city between the
Mm.
dwarves and the trolls. And so the night guard have to come up with figure out who murdered them, and if whether it was actually a troll or not. And it seems, and a bunch of other like mysteries are kind of propping up around that as well too. um yeah. And
Hmm.
I'm only 50 pages in, but I just got it the other day, and so to already get 50 pages in, I think is pretty good for me. I can kind of eat these books up pretty quickly. I
Sure.
just find them to be pretty endearing, and I just really like high fantasy. Um, and this one's just a lot more. This one's different compared to the other ones I've read, where it seems to be like a lot more like closer. It's written in a way that the characters are acting a lot closer to like re- more grounded real world counterparts. I think
Sure.
because they're like emulating cops and like procedurals, so they're
Okay.
like detectives in a medieval setting sort of thing. Um, and it's also a later one in the series, so I think his just Terry Pratchett, the author, is his writing style just evolved over time. But I imagine this will be another good one for, I've enjoyed all of
Hmm.
them so far, so I imagine this one will be no different.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy I have a series to kind of like always have something to go gravitate towards, at
Yeah.
least for a while until I get through all like 38 books or whatever.
Oh, that's
But
fair.
yeah,
That's awesome.
Thud.
Thud.
Um,
Looks like we're both reading this next one.
yes.
Um,
So you started it.
I'm on. Let me look. I'm on page 34, so I'm still
Page.
early.
So okay, but let's say what book are we
So we're
reading?
both reading Between Two Fires, and I'll tell you how this happened because one of my favorite video games. Okay, so not sorry, my favorite video game of all time is a game called Bloodborne. It's great. I love it. So I was looking up game books that are like Bloodborne, just out of curiosity. And this book, Between Two Fires, popped up more than once at least. So, if going off the description, it's a book about um, a man and a girl. They are not related,
Yes.
but they're going through France during the Black Death,
Yeah, or the bubonic
famous
plague.
bubonic plague,
Yes.
and
Fun
they're
times.
encountering different monsters and different creatures. That's basically the Cliff Notes version of the book. But I'm 34 pages in, so but I'll be honest, I've enjoyed reading this, like the 34 pages, a lot more than I enjoyed reading Annihilation, where Annihilation kind of felt like a chore. This one, I actually really like the style, the way it's written,
Hmm.
the actual text of it. I really like, and I feel more engrossed in this world than I did with Annihilation already. So I'm
Hmm.
excited to keep reading it. I'm on chapter. I just finished chapter 3. That's where I'm at.
Oh, okay. Wait. So you're on chapter 4?
I haven't started chapter 4, but
That's exactly where I'm at.
really, okay.
So I picked this up on a whim because since I guess recently I forgot to mention this. I got a new iPad.
Oh, okay.
I was like a graduation gift because my last iPad was just getting so old and the storage was only 32 gigabytes, while this new one has 128.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, a lot more room on that. So I decided to download a bunch of old apps that I had before, including Libby, which is the free library app that you can access if you have a library card at any library.
Okay.
And you can get access to books on there. So I downloaded this book thinking I could, just read it while I, go to Colorado. And then turns out it's an audiobook,
Mm.
which I don't mind audiobooks. I've listened to great audiobooks before, but I was initially like, "Oh, I was looking forward to reading this," but I but once I started listening to it, I'm like, oh, you know what? This voice actor's doing a pretty good job,
Okay.
and similar to what you've said so far, I think it's so far the first three chapters are pretty engrossing, of just showing like, yeah, everything really sucks right now,
Hmm.
and you have a bunch of these gross mercenaries just doing their thing, murdering and taking advantage of whoever they can, and it kind of has the like I guess setup that we've seen in a lot of media now, where it's like the gruff older guy and the innocent girl traveling in a bad situation.
Hmm.
But, I don't mind that it's kind of I guess you could say cliche setup, because I think that leads to just some pretty enjoyable scenarios.
Hmm.
And so far, like first three chapters, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it so far. I'm excited to just keep reading this. Again, it's
Mhm.
really early because I'm only on page 34 of this 400-page book.
Yeah, the audiobook says it's 14 hours long, the audio, and
All right.
I'm an hour and 2 minutes in to for
Okay.
the
So you might be a little
recording.
farther than me then, but that's
Maybe, but I think I am exactly on chapter 4.
okay.
Uh, because I just stopped when it said chapter 4. I'm like, that seems like a good place to stop.
Gotcha.
Um,
But I'll be doing some more reading tonight.
yeah, I
In
will
the
probably
beautiful
listen
porch
to
I
some more
have.
of that. Because I'm on loan
Hmm.
with that, so I have to finish it after a certain amount of time. But then I can
Sure.
just pick it up again if I don't get around to it. But
That's fair.
I'm curious to see where it goes. I forgot. I remember you telling me about this initially. I forgot there was gonna be like monsters and stuff and whatnot. Because so far there hasn't been any.
So far,
They've just
yeah.
talked about angels and devils, but that's also like medieval talk.
That's
Like
just biblical medieval stuff. That's not
yeah,
necessarily like
they would
groundbreaking.
wholeheartedly believe that stuff in medieval times. So,
Yeah.
but I'm curious. I'm kind of hoping it's not like egregious use of monsters. It's like they just happen to stumble across one and it's like really terrifying. I think
Hmm.
that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Kind of like how in Bloodborne they naturally introduce the Cthulhu
Hmm.
uh cosmic horror stuff. I love how they do that. So I kind of hope they do that for this book.
Sure. I absolutely agree. So, we'll maybe this time next month we'll have more. Actually, this time next month we should have more progress with Between Two
Yes,
Fires.
I'm gonna try to finish it before next month. I,
I don't know. We'll see. I'll
I mean,
see
no
where I
rush. Yeah,
get.
no rush. I just know with audiobooks, I can get through them a little bit quicker since I can listen to them while doing other
Hmm.
things.
Second
Um,
screen content.
yeah, that is true. That is true. But
But
because I was listening to it the other day when I was playing one of the games I'll talk about here soon enough,
okay.
and I was able to focus in on that while also playing the game, surprisingly.
Interesting. Okay. I might have to
Yes.
think about that. But that's
Yeah.
the books. Do we want to quickly run through what we've been watching?
Yes, I have some pretty
I have
good
a very
things.
quick one just to get that out of the way.
Yeah, no, yeah. If you wanna, yeah, feel free if you
So,
got.
since we're talking about the month of May, May 4th is Star Wars Day. So, to celebrate,
Oh, right, yeah.
me and my family watched The Empire Strikes Back. Um, I've seen this movie a lot of, many times. I've seen a lot of Star Wars in my life. It's one of my favorite properties. This is still one of my favorite movies, even after rewatching it. Um, A New Hope, and then Return of the Jedi. Those are the three options. I would have been completely fine with any three of them. Empire Strikes Back is not my favorite of the three
Yeah.
original trilogy. My personal favorite is Return of the Jedi, but Empire Strikes Back is still a phenomenal movie. It's so good. I just wanted to quickly mention, since it was Star Wars month, not Star Wars month, we had Star Wars Day earlier this month. I just want to quickly mention, yeah, I celebrated that.
Yes, and I did sort of as well. I rewatched New Hope and part of Empire Strikes Back. And uh, one thing about those early movies, it's just crazy to think like the people working on it had no idea it would be one of the most successful media franchises of all time.
Yeah.
It's just like it's obviously a lot more low budget than everything that would come after that, but it's just so good with what it was able to do, and it's just a really impressive movie. Those movies, I mean, even like when Return of the Jedi has its quirks that don't make it as good, it's still, I feel, leagues better than some of the things that come after.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. In terms of the Star Wars movies that are out, I think the top three is the original trilogy. Like without it, in my mind,
Yeah,
without a
and
doubt,
I
is
feel I
that.
feel like I feel like I think it's kind of hard to argue that to not be the best. Like it doesn't have to be your favorite. Like some people could say they like the prequels more, and
Sure.
like that's I think that's fine. But to say it's a better those are better movies than the original, I would disagree. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I just wanted to quickly mention that because I'll watch that this month.
yeah, yeah.
What'd you have?
Oh, right. So I watched. So I've been two things I want to talk about are two shows and two movies. First show I want to talk about is called The Chair Company. Do you remember when I showed you episodes of I Think You Should Leave? The
Yes.
like sketch comedy series. Yes. Tim Robbins is the one who hosts that, and he's worked on a bunch of other things in recent memory. He had a movie last year called Friendship that starred Paul Rudd, and he was like obsessed with wanting to be his friend. I enjoyed that movie, but I felt it got a little too cringy for me to the point where I was like, I liked it, but I didn't like it nearly as much as his show.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was a little like initially skeptical about his new show, The Chair Company, which kind of looked like it'd be another new like weird off being story because like most of what I had seen before of his the sketch comedy series is not a story, it's a 5 minute sketch
Sure.
show. But so the Chair Company is the basic setup is it follows this guy named Ron who works at a company that is helping design a mall in this like I think it's in Ohio, I think, or somewhere like that. And first episode he gives a great presentation. Everyone's cheering for him. He goes to sit down and his chair breaks and he's embarrassed and people are like, you know, making fun of him a little bit afterwards. And a normal person would think, "Oh, the chair just broke, it's kind of a faulty chair." No. It's gotta be a conspiracy. Someone messed up that chair for me, so they would ruin me in that moment. And what follows is 8 episodes of an actually very gripping story that somehow makes an inconsequential little moment that can happen to anyone into a conspiracy that exists on a larger scale, while also being very funny in the sense that it is like following the same surreal sort of humor that you saw in those sketches.
Sure.
Um, and it ended up being a very fun show for me where I was like, I'm generally, I want to know where this
Mm-hmm.
goes because it's like whenever a dead end happens in the mystery, they like kind of naturally slash unnaturally introduce a new lead that continues to like go down the rabbit hole of like what this conspiracy for this chair company is, and it was honestly a really fun watch, and I still think about back to specific moments in that series like because I watched all of it this last week with my brother,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just like there's just some moments that I'm like this is hilarious but
Okay.
also really weird and kind of frightening. Like it's a show that has like a broad spectrum of different emotions. In the ending, I will say the ending isn't like it doesn't cut everything. It doesn't solve everything because they are doing a season 2. But I still think like the way that the way it ends, if it just ended there, I think that would be hilarious.
Okay. Yeah,
Um, I
that's
would
fun.
I would actually really recommend it.
Okay.
Um,
I might have to check
Especially
it
if
out.
if you liked what we saw of like that I think you should leave.
Okay.
Granted, we were very drunk when we watched that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to say we're of age. We just already said we graduated
We
college,
are
so
of
it's
it. And
fine. But
even if we weren't, what are you gonna do about it? Nothing.
someone who's really determined is gonna do something about it.
Someone could be an annoying about it. but then they would find out that we were actually of age and they couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So
Either way, it sounds like really interesting based
it,
on what you told
it's
me.
it's 8 episodes, and they're all like 30 minutes or less. So, and if you're not gripped by the first 2 episodes, like you can maybe like stop there.
Hmm.
But I feel like knowing you, you just be like, okay, but where's this gonna go? Because that's how I felt.
Okay. It's not a no. I'll see if I can find it
Yeah,
on anything. I'll actually look that up right now. But
yeah, it's on. It is on HBO Max.
all right, I may or may not have that here, so we'll figure
Well,
that
that
out.
is fine. Yeah, I mean, like if you don't have access to it, I just say put it on your list for the future.
Hmm.
You could even wait till like season 2 comes out, whenever that would happen.
Sure. But I like that. That sounds really fun. That sounds like a fun series.
Yeah.
Did you want me to go for my next
Yes. Yep.
series? All right, so the one TV show, again, I don't watch many TV shows, but this one did start. I've been watching The Boys for years at this
All right.
point. Since that, that's been coming out for years. I've been watching it. They had
Yes.
their final season this starting in April and then going into May. So I figured, what the heck? Why not? Let's finish it. I'm kind of with the majority of people on this last season where I didn't really love it. Um, I feel like the boys should have ended a few seasons back because
Uh,
I don't know
I,
if I don't know if that's like a controversial.
I mean, I definitely felt that. Definitely by the end of last season, I was like, okay, they really only got one more season, I feel like, before
Hmm.
I'm really ready to be done. Because a little bit one of the issues for I had seen Levy towards it is that it was a bit repetitive in how it would, introduce a new problem, introduce a new solution. They think by the end of the season they're about to maybe solve all of their problems, but then a monkey wrench gets thrown into the works, and
Hmm.
then they have to start over again from the next season.
Yeah, and that's what happens in both seasons 4 and 5. Well, like
Yeah.
not the end of 5. Like I don't know
Yes,
about
I
you,
guess end of five does wrap things
but
up.
that's basically how. Because I feel like if season 3 ended, if season 3 was the end of everything and they killed like did kill Homelander like they're supposed to, I think that probably would have been a satisfying, although short show, but would have been a satisfying
Yeah.
conclusion. But then they just, oh, we're gonna undo everything, and then season 4 they try to build up, and then they undid it, and then now we're like, okay, we gotta get on with it now. So like it's happened more than once, at least with the show, which isn't like pacing wise. It's just kind of like, all right, wrap it up.
Yeah.
Let's just wrap it up. The one thing I'm just not a huge fan of with this show, and a lot of media that tries to do this, is just the extreme use of like profanity. And now,
Yeah.
okay, let me elaborate for the other listeners who hear that, like, oh, we have a wussy as our podcast host. No, 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 no. That's not what I mean. It's just, if you watch The Boys, it's just so excessive and just like like it's just vulgar. It's like childish the way
Yeah.
it throws around like swear words and the like describing like just insults. It's so childish. It's not even funny. It just gets to the point where like, oh my god, shut up, just shut up.
Yes, and I think yeah, definitely one issue for that is that it's emulating the comic
Hmm.
origins, or just the comic, which originally has that sort of writing because it was written in like late '90s, early 2000s, which was rampant with that sort of writing style and just nihilistic use of violence and abuse and all
Hmm.
that sort of stuff. So I was kind of thinking about that the other day, where it's just like I do enjoy The Boys, but like that sort of writing just wears you down after a while to the
Hmm.
point where I'm just like I'm just meh.
Yeah.
You just have to. I'm interested to see what happens, but I don't like that aspect of it.
I don't even have an issue with the actual violence per se. It's just more the dialogue.
Yeah.
It's just like nobody talks like this ever, and
Yes.
and it's just like, oh my god, it feels like it's just childish just to be childish and immature,
Yeah.
which I'm not which I wasn't a huge fan of.
Mm.
Um, that being said, this whole season was not all duds. One new introduction to this was Davi Diggs' character, which I actually really liked. I thought was pretty compelling and interesting.
What's the name of the character?
It's the new. Have you? Where are you in
No,
the?
I haven't seen it yet, but I just know I've seen some new characters. I know there's like an evangelical superhero.
Yeah, it's
I,
something like that. It's not gonna
like
give me.
Father something. The boys
It's
here.
not gonna give me the cast. Yeah, new
Just,
mega church leader named O Father.
oh,
Apparently,
Father, that's it. Yeah. Is that who
I,
you're talking about?
yeah, I like Dobby Diggs'
Okay.
character in this. I think it's really well done, and he does
I
actually um, sing because Dobby Diggs, he did Hamilton, so he can sing. The song that he sings in this show called "Raise Him Up" is honestly a banger. So like that's actually it's really good. It's like a something you'd expect out of like the Book of Mormon or like a South Park show with it's just a full musical number, but the lyrics are just kind of so out there. It's a really fun song. So I'm gonna give the boys that credit for that. Um,
I what did you without spoiling anything, and I do kind of know how it ends. What did you think of the ending?
the ending I've I feel like is mixed for me because on one hand, logically, based on where everything's going, it's like okay, this makes sense. I get that. Like I get what's happening. This makes sense. But the actual way it's presented, I think, is really goofy and just lame, and the like kind of nerfing. Mild spoilers, but I'm just gonna keep it very brief
Yeah.
and mild. But in the final fight, they just basically nerf Homelander. Uh,
Yes.
and
I have seen the gif of him jumping up in the air or trying to
yeah,
jump.
they just kind of nerf him for no reason. Like even in episodes prior where like he gains, I'm not gonna spoil it if you haven't seen it, but he gains like crazy new abilities, and it's like it doesn't even matter. It just like,
Yeah.
it was like what's the point then? So I was not a huge fan of that, but it's
Hmm.
done. I got to finish it before I moved, so it's like all right, this is done. We're wrapping this up. I woke up at 6 a.m. just so I could finish it before I had to do a 13-hour drive. So,
There we go.
it is. I think it was a mixed bag of a season, but
Yeah.
it's not all bad. I think it's there's a lot worse in like out there just in terms of
Yeah.
media. There's a lot worse. This is
Yeah.
not the
It's
worst
just
thing ever.
it's just it's one of those things where it's a show that starts off really strong and at some point they kind of started to fumble it. Well, I think one part is that they tried to parody real life too much and they could not keep up with satirizing real life
Mm-hmm.
because real life just was even crazier
Mm-hmm.
than what they were trying to do.
That sounds
Obviously,
about
we don't have
right.
superheroes in real life, but like
Mm-hmm.
some of the stuff they do, like political commentary, it's like, oh wait, the administration actually did something way worse and stupid. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's a mixed bag of a show, but again, not the worst thing in the world. It's just not
I'm
the worst thing in the world.
I'm curious. Have you seen the like "excuse me, sir" memes with the boys?
I have not.
It's so if you remember, I sent a song to you last week,
Oh
Charlie's
yeah,
and
that's the song.
it, yeah, there's so that song is being revived as a meme to go alongside. So the ending to The Boys in the comics is a lot different. Well, okay, some of the beats are the same, but like they do a twist at the very end that is completely different from the show. I won't say it here. You can look it up if you
Oh,
want to.
I'm aware of what
Oh,
it
okay. Yeah,
is.
yeah, it's very silly and stupid,
Mm-hmm.
but people have been like making memes like animating that sequence of that like spoiler reveal or that like that twist
Yeah.
alongside the song Charlie's Inferno.
Yeah.
I don't know why that became a meme, who started it, but I kind of like it just because I kind of like that song. Um it's very like chippy and catchy, and so I just kind of like seeing that those memes with it. I don't think it's a very funny meme. I'm just kind of like, oh, it's
That's
kind of I like the
that's
song.
fun. But
Yeah.
that's all I had to say about the boys. And
Alrighty.
now we wrapped up that.
So I'll quickly talk about the two movies I want to talk about.
We
So the
do you
first
want
one
to
I
wait to
watched.
talk about the one movie we both seen? We can watch
Oh,
talk
sorry.
about that
Yes. Okay.
together.
Then I'll talk about one movie and then one show, if that's
Yep,
all
if you
right.
want to do that. Perfect.
Yep. Okay. So the first movie I watched in Fort Collins is a movie called The Straight Story, which is a movie I've been needing to watch for a long time because it's a movie by David Lynch. You know,
Oh, I know who
you
David
know
Lynch is.
David. Yes. He makes weird, surreal movies.
Well,
Some
he
horror,
did.
some
He did. He's dead
what?
now.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he is dead now. Rest in power,
Rest in
King.
power, King. I agree.
But I have watched pretty much all of his major stuff outside of this movie, which I've now watched. And the last thing of his I need to watch is his Dune movie.
Mm-hmm.
He directed the original Dune movie in the
Yes, I'm
70s,
looking at
which
it
is not
right
very
now.
good, and he hated making it because
Okay,
he needed the money, so that's why he did it.
sure.
Um, but this movie is really bizarre because it is not a surreal horror drama. It is his most grounded movie, and it's even on like Disney Plus. Like it was like distributed by Disney, or I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's not a
Okay.
Disney film, but like Disney had its hand on it. And the basic setup is follow this guy, this like 98-year-old guy named Alvin Straight, who learns that his brother, who he's not talked to in 11 years, has had a stroke, and he wants to go visit him just in case, he wants to see him in case, he might pass away or whatever. But he doesn't have a driver's license, so he's like, screw it, I'm getting on my mower and I'm just gonna drive and camp out, at night, and like just drive on the highway on my mower.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and he's driving from Iowa to Wisconsin, which in a car would not take you super long, but on a lawnmower, it takes you weeks, like a month or something to get
True.
there. And it's just him on his mower, driving through the Midwest and like talking to people, me and some, like, and expouting some like old man wisdom. And it's just a very like wholesome movie. That is just honestly a really beautiful watch. Because it's just this 90-year-old guy who like fought in World War II, and he's like talking to a few people about his experiences, and there's still like moments of like weird David Lynch surrealness where I won't actually I won't spoil it because it's one of the best scenes in the movie, but there's just like weird encounters of people that like are talking in weird ways, and it's just like, is this a David Lynch thing, or is this just how he thinks Midwest people talk?
I like
Because
that.
all the locations he drives through are real towns and whatnot, and it's a very grounded film. There's just like a few moments of like weird surrealness, and then you get to like the end of the movie, and I was honestly tearing up. I
Mm.
was like, oh, this is just beautiful, and yeah, like it's a pretty simple movie, but it's just such a weird movie in his catalog. Probably the weirdest, only because it's the most grounded and, straight laced movie. But it's just a very beautiful watch.
Okay. That's
Um,
interesting. I like that.
yeah.
And what's the other
And
thing you
the
had?
other show I've been watching with my brother lately is a anime called Space Dandy. This is a unique show because it is another show directed by Shinichiro Watanabe, creator of Cowboy Bebop,
Okay. Mm.
and it is technically the first ever anime I watched, not including Pokemon.
Sure.
When this originally came out on Toonami, the Cartoon Network anime block, in 2014, I was there for its premiere and watched like a few episodes. Only a little bit, but I still count it as my first ever anime. And the basic setup of this show is that it follows Dandy and his crew of like space-faring adventurers as they make money by discovering new alien species. That's
Okay.
the basic setup. what you get is a show that is willing to go off the walls, like do random things every episode. So you remember how in Bebop, like every episode was kind of its own little unique story, and
Sure.
sometimes they'd switch genres
Yeah.
and whatnot. That's basically what Space Dandy is, but it's a lot more comical and like space pulpy. Think of like I know you've probably never read them, neither have I, but like 1950s sci-fi pulp novels of like
Okay.
I went to the planet that was filled with vegetable people, something like that.
Sure.
That's basically the what this how the Space Dandy operates. Like one episode has them basically all turning into zombies and having to deal with that. And then another episode, they're joining an intergalactic race because they're broke, and there's a big prize money pool, and it turns into like a Speed Racer parody. If you know what like Speed Racer is, that's like a old racing show.
Oh, yes.
Um, and then and like recently, the start of season 2 has a episode where it's like see all the different versions of Dandy across the multiverse before like multiverse stuff was playing, to death.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the best episodes I've seen so far. It was just so funny of like, here's just a bunch of weird different character designs and art that we're gonna showcase here. And like that's one of the biggest strengths of the show is like every episode you're seeing new things, new
Mm-hmm.
characters, new aliens, new places, and it's just very like fun loving and bright and colorful, and I've been really loving it.
That's awesome. That's a good. That's something I would actually check out because I did
I
really enjoy Bebop.
I do think it is one you'd like. You wouldn't. I don't think you'd love every episode, but then with the episodes you like, I think you would really like.
Okay. Well,
And it's seemingly like we're on season 2 now, and apparently season 2 ups the ante and is even better. So I'm very excited.
I'll be sure to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now we want to talk about the movie we both
Yeah.
saw.
Yeah.
Well, I saw first, and then I talked to Quinn, and I said, "Dude, you got to check out this weird ass movie."
Yes.
Yeah. So we both saw. You guys might have heard of it. It's called Obsession, and it's making the rounds this last month for being a very good horror movie.
It
And
is.
yeah, I mean,
Yes.
in one of the 3 days I had before I started work, but my parents and brother were gone, I went and watched this. Um, uh, uh,
It
thoughts, Quinn?
it is a lot. I so every leading up to this, all the people who had seen it told to me like hoofda.
Yeah.
That's basically the kind of response to this movie, and I was like, okay, you know what? I've watched hoofda movies. I will, I know this going in, and still afterwards, I was like, oh my god. There were moments where I was like, kind of lifting my legs up, putting my hand up the screen, going, ah, yeah,
Yeah.
because it is a movie that does like obviously it is like kind of gory and gross in a lot of parts, but it is also the unnaturalness of the situation that it brings up and just the social awkwardness that it shows in other scenes. It is just like, oh my god, this is terrible. I hate this so much, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also so good.
It's very impressive because this is a very simple concept for a
It
movie.
is,
It's
yeah,
like
that is
painfully simple of a
like the
concept.
setup. I wrote a little review, and I said like it is a movie like you know where this is going. As
Mm-hmm.
soon as the thing happens at the start, and maybe after a second we'll just get into specifics. But after the thing at the start, you know how this is gonna end very poorly. Um, but it's still even with that expectation, it does really creative things that grind me.
Yeah, and the main thing that I enjoyed was the main actress's performance. Indy, I don't know how to say that last name.
Yeah,
Navarrete. I don't know. I butchered it, but it's okay. But her performance is basically what kind of carries this movie. It is
yeah,
just unsettling. It is terrifying. It kind of reflects someone who is actually obsessed with someone.
Yes.
I trust me.
It,
That's what it
and
looks
and
like.
just how obsession isn't love, because it just hurts everyone involved.
Hmm.
It's unnatural love, and that is what a main character initially wished for, and that's what he got, and it's just absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it's a
And
terrifying. It's been a while since a movie has made me like this uncomfortable just
yes,
watching it. Where I'm sitting here like, could we not do that? Because like,
yes,
okay, there are your like standard horror movie jump scares. Like, there's a few of them. It's not the entire
and
movie.
most of them I could see coming.
I could see coming,
Especially, I'll
but
just say the one scene in the car, I could see
yeah,
coming a
I
mile
saw
away.
that one coming from a mile away, but it still got me because loud noises.
Well,
But
it's still, yeah, it was still impactful. But like the freaking when she was watching him sleep, I saw her in the corner
I
even
didn't.
before she came out. But even when she came out, just the way she's moving, and like when she comes back with the pot in front of her
Hmm.
place, I was just like, oh god.
I'm getting goosebumps right now just talking
I
about
know
all
it's like
this.
this. She's not human.
Yeah, and then the main thing that unnerved me was when he turned the corner and then saw that the door was duct taped, and then
Yeah,
he left, and the camera just lingers on her standing there and smiling for
yeah,
a lot longer than it should have, which like is
yes,
intentional. It's very intentional. I get that. But man, I'm sitting there. I am not looking at the screen this entire
yeah.
time. I'm just briefly glancing and be like, "Is it still there? It is still there." Shit.
There is, yeah, and there's a lot of lingering moments, especially like when there's like scenes where it's just like her face is bathed in darkness and she's talking to him.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
really cool stylistic decision. I thought that
yes,
was really cool stylistically.
but and what got to me the most in this movie was just the whiplash of her emotions.
Mm-hmm.
That freaked me out the most. The unpredictability. There's like one of the most frightening things to me in life is just unpredictable people.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like most people, like if you're like I guess if you're like, like relatively normal, you can kind of expect certain things. But like in cases like this where something is obviously not right with this person, and just the mood swings where suddenly she's yelling,
Mm-hmm.
or like, suddenly jumps up, it's just like,
It's
oh, that's so creepy. I can't handle
extremely
it.
like drastic mood swings like
Yeah.
that no normal person would ever have. It's like
Yes.
so drastic. I also did want to give a quick shout out to the one scene when Bear returns back to the shop and the guy he's talking to is just so nonchalant about it. I
That
did.
was so
I
that
I
was so
I
funny.
I thought that was funny.
That it
I thought that was funny.
The movie, yeah, does have a bit of a comedic edge to all of it going on as well. But that scene in particular is hilarious, where he's like starting to he's freaking out, and he's starting to get like that like uh like the sound in your ears where it's like getting really loud and everything's becoming quiet,
Yeah.
and you could hear the guy just be like, "Oh, I mean, yeah, you could just kill yourself."
Yeah.
I'm
I was like, or you
just
could just
like,
have someone else make a wish for you, and
yeah,
he's just so nonchalant about it, and
yeah,
like it
it's
sounds
so.
like it's out of place, but it actually fits in really well. I thought.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
with how it's set up, because it's not a complicated movie by any means, but it still has a lot to tell about like love, and it's just like initially you're kind of like, I'm kind of rooting for this guy, this bear, but
hmm.
then the longer he's obviously not trying to fix the issue, the more I'm like, oh, okay, no, he's not very
Yeah,
good. I was just saying, there was a one scene where they jump cut to them both in bed. And I was like, okay, this is the point where it's he's crossed the line.
hmm.
He knows that something is very wrong at this point, yet he's still thinking everything is fine. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
I think I know which one
buddy,
you're
what are we
talking
doing?
about, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very
Um.
impressive movie. I am the goal is Tuesday. Since I have Tuesday off, I'm gonna go watch the Backrooms movie. Um,
Oh, right.
so
Yeah.
that's the
I am
goal.
curious about that. I haven't watched it yet.
I've heard it's a slow burn, So which is fine because I've seen slow burns before and enjoyed
Yeah.
them. But slow burn doesn't necessarily mean boring. It just means it's slow, which is fine.
Yeah.
And I've seen all the discourse around the Backrooms movie, which I think is kind of goofy. People are complaining that it's too
I
slow, but
I
I'm like,
haven't looked. I've seen some people kind of give it some mixed reviews, but I still think I will enjoy it. I've not heard the specific complaints
the
yet.
main
I'm just
complaint.
curious how it will compare to Obsession for me.
I mean, I don't think it's fair to compare Obsession and Backrooms because they're completely different movies. But I will say, from what I've heard, people
Well, I usually I would agree, but in this case, I'd say they're both horror movies, and they're both from young directors who both started on like making shorter form like YouTube content.
true, but
So I
like
think in that sense, I'm willing to make the comparison. I'm not going to make it a
conceptually,
one-to-one
I was gonna say
comparison.
conceptually they're completely different, like movies, like what they're dealing with and talking about. So
Yes, yes. I mean, in that sense, it's true. But I think in terms of like the background of it, it's from similar directions. But
sure.
like, I'm not going to be like constantly comparing it when I eventually watch
Hmm.
it.
But I'll watch it. The goal is to watch it on Tuesday, so I'm very excited for that. And well, now that we've wrapped up Obsession, it's time to finally get into talking about some
Yeah.
video games. The last thing we have to talk about today.
Yes. And I'll let you take the reins right away.
Okay. In the rundown that we have, it's just in the order that I played them. I'm gonna quickly run through Critters for Sale because it is very simple, and I'm just gonna breeze through that quickly.
Yep.
Critters for Sale it was a very in the moment purchase. I happen to be a, not a flex or anything. I happen to be a Patreon for a YouTuber called Daryl Talks Games, and he made a Patreon announcement. Yeah, I know. All right, buddy. But he made a Patreon announcement.
You're able to donate $1 a month.
Yeah, I know it's $1. It's not a flex at all. But I do it because I like his content. But he
Yeah, no,
does.
he's a great YouTuber.
Yeah, but one of his announcements, he talked about this game. He says, "I'm going to say nothing about this game because it is going to be a perfect for a lot of future videos I have coming up." And I looked at the actual concept, like gameplay for it. It's very simple. It was only like maybe 2 hours at most, and
Hmm.
visually looked pretty good. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it in one sitting. This is a really hard game to actually describe. What's going on? I don't really know. I also don't really care. Visually, I think it's a very appealing game with its black and white Pixar art style. It I think looks really good. Just a charming, weird game. It tells the actual concept. It tells five different stories about like a few different peoples. It's like a multiple endings kind of game.
Oh, okay.
So
Because honestly, I've never known what this game is about. I just know it has a weird art style, and that's been my main selling point for.
yeah, but it tells five stories and it's got multiple endings. They're all loosely connected, and discovering the different endings were very fun. And that just most of these aren't too difficult to figure out. They just come down to, oh, I'm gonna do choice A instead of choice B. Um,
Yeah.
it's not the most
So
complicated thing.
it's like a visual novel,
Yeah,
an
kind of.
adventure almost.
But you know what? It was short. It was intriguing. It's very weird. Uh, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't like it, but it was good. And it's short. Just get it when it's on sale. It's worth checking out. So I just want to quickly
Yeah.
mention that one.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. I've been interested in that game for a bit.
And the other one I want to quickly mention is a game called Forbidden Solitaire. Uh, and I bought this one because I liked the demo and I kind of needed to feed my inscription fix while waiting for Pony Island 2 to come out. Because this,
Which maybe someday.
maybe,
Who
hopefully, I'm
knows?
praying. For those who don't know, Pony Island 2 Panda Circus has been my most anticipated video game for the last few years. And I am 100% serious when I say that. Uh, And Forbidden Solitaire looked like another not inscriptional like game. I feel like that's a weird thing to say, but it has similar elements to Inscription, and so the demo was fun. It's very interesting game inside of a game kind of game with some clever fourth wall breaking used to tell the story. It's kind of like the more you play through the game, the more you'll learn about the game and more about the people who also created it and why it's considered a quote cursed game. It's very I thought it was a very interesting way to tell the story, and I've seen this done before. It did keep me engaged. Presentation wise, I think the game's art direction with the 3D models combined with the 2D solitaire images, I thought really it was a vibe. I really enjoyed that. The gameplay of Forbidden Solitaire involves you playing solitaire to rack up combos to clear puzzles. And I think this is kind of a mixed bag. On one hand, it's cool and unique, and honestly, it is for the most part a really fun gameplay system that I can't say I've seen too much of. Making Solitaire a sort of turn-based RPG, you know what? It does play really well, and it's pretty satisfying. On the other hand, and this is my main issue I had with Forbidden Solitaire, uh, there's a lot of just random BS that just naturally comes with Solitaire, and that's just due to how like the cards are stacked in the deck. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, because I'm honestly, I know Solitaire is like one of those easy to pick up computer games that have
mhm.
been like on computers since they've existed. But honestly, I've not played much of Solitaire. I just know that there is like randomness into how you are dealt cards. That is a
Yeah,
big part of that game.
absolutely. And that same randomness is seen in Forbidden Solitaire. So, like, sometimes you'll just lose a puzzle or battle because, oh, the deck just sucks and just is stacked poorly. And you got to try again. And, normally I wouldn't. It's not the biggest issue in the world, but my main problem is that it's just kind of it doesn't feel super fair because there's nothing I could have done to like change that. It's just
Yeah,
you got unlucky.
and that's a form of RNG I'm not big on.
Yeah.
It can be like okay, like sometimes I'm willing to take uh the punches of like randomness like that, but if it like leads to having to redo a bunch of stuff, then usually I have little patience for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not the worst thing in the world, like by any means. It's just something I noticed. I'm like, okay, I kind of don't like this aspect of the
Mm.
game, but I understand that's how solitaire works. It's hard for me to get too mad about it. And at the end of the day, the game is pretty short, and I think it's interesting enough. If you're like interested, you should check it out. It's pretty short. It's just like a bite-sized version of Inscription, I think. But yeah, that's Forbidden Solitaire.
Nice.
Tell us about
Alrighty.
some of your stuff, and then
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm interested to hear about this one because I did not know you started that.
Oh, I actually didn't.
Oh, you
You know,
liar!
I will say that. I will just say, yeah, I'll talk about that briefly. So I'm planning on starting Metaphor ReFantazio tonight. I
Okay,
was debating on being like, should I just wait till Tuesday for us to do this Tuesday so I could talk about it? But I'm like, oh, even if we do it on Tuesday, I'll have only played like probably a few hours. So, but
sure.
I picked up Metaphor ReFantazio recently for $20 because I had coupons for the store I go to, and I figured this is a game I am pretty interested in checking out. So let's do it. It's a from what I know about this game, there's three main things. One, it's basically Persona 6.
Sure.
I'm a big fan of Persona, so I'm pretty interested in that. Two, its main art style is inspired by I forget how old he is, but his name is here. Let me give me 1 second.
Sure.
Bosch.
Not a problem.
Hieronymus Bosch.
Okay.
Hieronymus Bosch. He okay doesn't say when he was born, but he died in 1516.
Oh,
So a very old painter. The art style of this game is very much inspired by his artwork, which is if you look at some of his paintings, they are insane.
remind me of
Uh,
that name.
Okay, if you type in Bosch and then painter, because Hieronymus is a weird name and I don't want to spell out
Oh,
that
yep,
long
got
name.
it.
So yeah, if you look at some of his work, it's friggin' weird and really
Yeah.
cool.
That's actually really cool. It's weird. And
Yeah,
I
and so
would
like,
guess for the time, it was also very
oh, I probably was
unusual.
revolutionary for the time.
Oh,
But like, I've
probably.
seen some of the enemies in this game are like pulled from these paintings, so I'm like, that's cool. I like that idea.
That is really cool. I like that.
And the third thing, everyone is racist towards humans.
Yay! Oh, I started screaming
So
a little
like,
early in
you're a
that.
human, or
I'm
like,
cutting that
or
out.
like,
I'm cutting that part out of the audio. I'm kidding.
But yeah, it's like I do kind of like setups where like you are the lowest run on society, like everyone hates you, you're gonna prove them all wrong, sort of setup.
Sure.
So I'm pretty excited to get this started. I will probably start this later tonight, so I will definitely be talking about this more next time. But I'm pretty
Absolutely.
excited. Uh, but so to talk a bit more about the other games, Death Stranding, I've still put more time into. I think I'm comfortably past the halfway point now.
Okay.
I've on chapter 6. And
Chapter
so and
6?
this chapter has you taking place or traveling along a snowy mountain ridge, which is like a new sort of obstacle you haven't had to deal with at this point, where you're having to trudge through snow, which just takes longer.
Mm-hmm.
And but what a new upgrade they give you recently in this game is zip lines. And let me tell you, when zip lines are just freaking awesome. I
Okay.
love this is my favorite upgrade in the game by far. The basic I the what basically what a zip line is like you put down one point and then if you build you put down a zip line and if you put down another zip line within the vicinity of the first one, you get to basically like zoom across into like not fast travel but basically like just speed along to the other zip line faster than any vehicle could take you.
Okay.
And so what that basically means is you can create a network of zip lines that will send you across the map in half the time it would take you if you were using any other method.
Sure.
Um, and so right now I'm like, okay, I'm on a big snowy mountain. How can I build a zip line infrastructure that will just allow me to zoom across this entire snowy mountain? And I'll just tell you, like, that is super fun, like coming up with that sort of idea.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I might have to
It was,
go back to Death Stranding at some point then.
I think you should at some point. It is definitely a game that you should think about. Like, this is a slow burn game. I don't want to rush through this. And I find my like being more methodical and slow with it. I found to be a bit more rewarding than trying to get through it quickly. Because it can be a little bit repetitive at times. But if you're able to like slowly build up a network of like easy access traversal means, I think it ends up being really satisfying. I ended up showing my brother the zip lines. So he's played this game.
Mm-hmm.
He never used them, and I could tell he was jealous
Oh.
because
Uh,
it just makes parts of the game very easy. He was just jokingly saying like, "Oh, I guess I just don't you don't want to play the game. You just want I just want to do everything for you."
I like that. That's so
And
fun.
and I don't know, I've still been really enjoying the game.
That's
I haven't
good.
played it for a little bit just because I guess I was out of the state, but
Mm-hmm.
hoping to get back into that here and there.
Sure.
Um, yeah, and I'll talk about my last two, yeah, afterwards because one of those games will be a brief mention.
Okay. Well, the actually, I'm gonna talk about this one first because I have
Yep.
more to say about the other one.
Yes.
Uh, so after finishing Critters for Sale, I was just looking for a shorter, kind of cheap game, and there's a game that I've heard about before, but didn't do much research on, but that was on sale, called Still Wakes the Deep, and I thoroughly enjoyed this one way more than I thought I was going to. Um, and the main reason for that is the story. Like it's just a really well done story. So the setup is that you're on an oil tanker in I believe the North Sea, and you accidentally strike some Cthulhu esque, like cosmic Lovecraftian, one of those things, horror like thing, and it impacts the ship. It starts infecting like crewmates and starts causing the oil rig to, become unstable, an unstable platform. So that's the setup for this game. The story, I think, more specifically, the characters are just great. I've played enough video games where I just don't feel connected to the characters, or the dialogue doesn't sound quite right. Neither of those aspects are found here. These characters like feel real, and they just feel like real people. Their dialogue feels incredibly natural, and it's fun listening to their banter. And they also have, I think it's a Scottish accent. Don't quote me on
Scottish.
that one.
Yeah, actually, you told me that. I still haven't checked to see what they sound like,
I think it's a
but I
Scottish
still think,
accent.
regardless, it's a voice. It's a type of voice you don't hear as often.
Yeah, which makes the characters a bit more appealing. And these aren't any like just your like overpowered protagonists. These are just blue collar workers stuck in a shitty situation that they just kind of have to problem solve their way out of. It's like, all right, well, we kind of have to escape this ship, so let's get out of here. And as a result, there's multiple character moments like towards the end that, dare I say, made me tear up a little bit. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think the setting works in the game's favor because trying to traverse and escape the oil rig it's both full of monsters and constantly collapsing on itself. I think that's great, and it's something I can't say I've seen too much. And the combination of the Lovecraftian horror does make the rig feel like a lived-in place. I will say, I feel like I could have used maybe a little bit more of the monsters because you just don't get to see too much.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
not as much as I was originally hoping for, but that's a small complaint, I think.
Yeah.
And as for a horror game, it's not that scary, which is fine for me at least. But I know that could be a turn off for some people in terms of
Yeah,
game.
I mean, it's kind of like what we were saying about obsession, is where like sometimes it's hard for like horror movies nowadays to really get to us, and it really
Hmm.
has to be something truly different to
Yeah.
maybe strike a chord in that sense. And maybe this game doesn't do that, but it at least does a good job of telling an interesting story and having interesting characters.
Oh, absolutely. Like in terms of gameplay, it's just a slightly more in-depth walking simulator, which isn't the worst thing in the world, and it just makes the story. I kind of gives the story room to shine a little bit more, and I really enjoyed it. I walked away from Still Wakes Deep thinking how the characters are written pretty well, and the setting was great, and frankly, I think that's pretty good. It's something I'm gonna. I was pleasantly surprised with this one. I really enjoyed it, and it's something that's probably gonna stick with me for a little bit, for a little while.
Nice.
But I think you should check it out at some point.
Yeah, so I had put it on my list a while back just because I really like the idea of horror on an oil rig, because I think that's just an interesting environment to have,
Mm-hmm.
a story like that. And I mean, because oil rigs, at least to my knowledge, are not the most pleasant places to be, so that's already kind of an interesting set piece to just tell a story.
Sure. But yeah, it's worth checking out when it's on sale. Um,
Yeah.
what is your next game?
Um, I will probably just wrap up my
Sure.
next two then. So Dragon Quest VIII, I'm still plucking away at that. I have still been enjoying it. At this point, I believe, all the characters that you could play as, because they're all the characters on the front cover.
Okay.
I don't think this is a game that has a whole lot of companions. It's just the main four people you control, and I kind of like it. I like the setup of this game is that you're basically chasing after this mad clown guy who's like cursing and killing people across the country, and you're trying to just like have him reverse a curse on someone. And it took me a bit to really lock into how this game was structured, but it's kind of like a episodic game where like one minute you're like in this one town, you're helping this one person, and then you defeat a bad guy at the end, and then you walk to the next town and you got a completely different scenario of like these, oh, these villagers are in trouble from this giant octopus, and this octopus has got like a weird personality where he has his tentacles. He pretends his tentacles are two different people, sort of
Sure.
thing. And it kind of feels like an old school anime or just like cartoon series where it's like these heroes are on an adventure to defeat this bad guy, but along the way they're dealing with these monsters of the week and helping people along the way.
Mm-hmm. That
So,
sounds fun.
and that yeah, and this is the only the second Dragon Quest game I played, and Dragon Quest 11 kind of had this set up, but it was a little bit more structured with how it was progressing. All that. Dragon Quest 11 was it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard for 8 to ever top that one because I think that game is just phenomenal.
Sure.
But I am enjoying this one, even if it is a bit rough around the edges.
Okay.
But but so then the main thing I've touched the last few days is a game called the Basement Collection. And this is a actually a collection of games by Edmund McMillan, creator of Binding of
Oh.
Isaac, Super Meat Boy, all that. These are games he made before like Super Meat Boy took off. So like early games he worked on, and some
Mm-hmm.
of them are very short, some of them are a little longer. They're all kind of interesting, but some of them are bad and some of them are like, yeah, this is fine. But I think it's just kind of I'm mainly enamored by the idea of let's play a collection of games that this guy had just made, and there's like little bits of information of like this is how long it took us to make it. Here's some of the initial sketches.
Mm-hmm.
Here are some of the people who worked on it with me. And it's a lot of like personal elements behind these games. And I
Sure.
like you're just basically looking at like this author and his work sort of thing.
Yeah. It sounds impressive. It sounds very like
Yeah,
something you should check out. Like, hey, before he did this, he did this. Check it out.
pretty much. And yeah, and like a lot of these games I wouldn't say are like amazing. They wouldn't like maybe stand on their own, but for like a cheap collection, I think they're like an interesting oddity. I haven't played all of them yet, but I plan to play them all, rate them, and then rank them all.
Okay.
So I'll tell you briefly about the ones I've played so far. The first one I played was Meat Boy. So this is the Flash game version of Super Meat Boy, like before that game came out. And so basically what it is a rough around the edges Meat Boy with okay level design and like the challenge that you would see in Super Meat Boy, just far not nearly as polished. I I put about 2 hours into this and beat like the regular ending, and I was like, "Yep, that's all I need to do."
Okay.
If I were to play more of this, I would rather just go to Super Meat Boy, which is I think a far better game.
Fair.
But it's an interesting, setup. Um, the next one I tried out was a game called Aether, which is a short, like 15-minute game where you're this kid who befriends a space octopus and you travel to different planets solving quick little puzzles on them and just yeah. You're controlling the squid with his like tongue and you're like propelling yourself up into space and you're like shooting yourself around. It's kind of interesting and it's got some like witty dialogue with some like critters on these alien planets, and they say some weird things like, "I hope one day to blow up this planet,"
Hmm.
or this is one guy who's like, "You're nothing special," and it's just like, okay, this is kind of funny. Um, it's not there's not much to it. It's kind of like a neat little soundtrack, but it's really quick. Um, there's this one game called Coil, which is basically a 10-minute visual novel. I honestly don't really know what it was about. I think it's about pregnancy. Um,
Okay.
it's kind of interesting, but it was also a little weird. It's definitely my least favorite, but mainly because it was like the least game
Hmm.
like thing there. And then the last one I checked out was a game called Gray Matter, which was actually kind of interesting, where it's a wave-based bullet hell where you're this like black orb and you have to kill enemies by hitting their exposed brains. and if you kill three of the same enemies, you create a chain attack that can kill every enemy that's like caught in your triangle that you're forming with the chain attack. And so it kind of becomes a point where like to rack up a bunch of points and upgrade yourself, you should be strategically killing three enemies at the exact time where a bunch of enemies are like caught in your triangle and you could kill them all at once. And it's a
Interesting.
pretty short, yeah, it's a pretty short little game. And I actually did kind of get a kick out of it, and I could see this is like the one out of all of them that I played. Like, if it was like really fleshed out, you could actually make a decent game out of it.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, those are the four I had checked out, and there's like a bunch others I still have to look at, and a lot of them, like I said, are really short. So I'm planning to kind of pluck away at it here and there. But yeah, that's what I. Those are the games I've been really looking at lately.
Awesome. That sounds like some good stuff. I've got two
Yeah.
games left. One I finished, and one I'm currently playing. So the one I finished, I started way back, I think towards the beginning of April, because I was talking with some friends. We were talking. I don't know how we got onto the conversation of this game, but we did, and I was asking, do you guys think this is something that I would enjoy? And they said yes, and so I bought it, and then it took a little over a month. But you know what? I did finish it, and I would say at this point, it's probably my favorite game I played this year so far. But what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the classic video game Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. So,
Okay.
the main thing I've been saying, I'm gonna be honest. I'm looking at 3 pages of a document of a script for this entire uh, one, and I'm not gonna read this entire thing. But my main thing that I was thinking throughout this whole game was, I get it, and Quinn's heard me say this. Other people who recommended this have heard me say this, and I get it. I understand completely why this is one of the most beloved games of all time. Like, it's not hard to see why when you're playing this. It's incredibly charming. The battle system's pretty good. I think it's a little easier than I'd like, but it's not. That's not the biggest complaint in the world. And it's just a charming game, and visually one of the most beautiful games I've played in recent memory. The paper aesthetic is just, it's so good. It really works
It's one
really
of the
well.
best art styles,
It is.
I think.
I think it's slowly become one of my favorite art styles in a video game, and I was just more shocked because I played the remaster, but this is a pretty a timeless game that
Yeah.
I mean, you could have told me this game came out like recently and I would have believed you. The fact this game came out just months after I was born is like just kind of insane to me.
Hmm.
Did you have any thoughts on that? I don't want to say much. The main thing I had was just, I get it. I understand this game. It's good. I get
I
why.
I think it is a game that hasn't stand the test of time in some ways, but I think still its simplicity in terms of like RPG turn-based tactics, it makes it so anyone with any experience in the genre could still find enjoyment in it. And it's also elevated by, like you said, its art style,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just very fun writing. I think
Yes.
it is very funny at times.
It absolutely
Yeah.
is. And
It,
yeah, it's just a charming game.
yeah. I also like that you have like a bunch of fun companions
Mm-hmm.
who sadly never come back, but are still really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of good moments throughout this whole game. I don't really have much to say at this time because I'm looking at 3 pages of of an English essay of stuff I've already written about
Mm.
this game, and I don't really want to say all of that just because I'm like, well, I don't need to say all of it. I don't really need to, but it's a good game.
Yeah.
Uh, and I guess at this point it's my favorite, like technically my favorite game I played this year so far, but I think that's gonna change. That'll probably change pretty soon, but yeah, that's Paper Mario: The Thousand
Yeah.
Year Door. And then the other game I'm playing, the currently, is a game this is the first game I've actually like replayed, like first single player game I've replayed in years probably. 3 years ago, I started and beat a game called Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and that quickly became like a top 10 favorite game of all time for me. And while at a friend's house, me and Quinn were just refighting. Well, Quinn was on a no playthrough, but I was just
Yes, yeah, we
refighting.
started from fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just fighting Genichiro, and that gave me the itch. They gave me the itch to go back to and replay Sekiro, and I'm 5 hours in so far. I actually, just so you know, Quinn, I did just beat Genichiro. That's where
Oh,
I'm at.
geez.
And here's what I was thinking throughout the entire fight is that there are some sections like not boss fights that I thought were legit really still really challenging and just like kicking my ass. But then
Yeah.
Genichiro, a boss that I've actually trained multiple times like before attempting today,
Yeah.
you know, did it wasn't actually that bad. I think like cuz you and I have basically trained Genichiro before I
Yeah,
left.
we were so close to beating him
Yeah,
last
so
time we played.
all that information just kind of stayed in my brain. So, hey, I'm actually doing pretty good at fighting Genichiro while the rest of the game is just kicking my ass. Which I thought was kind of funny. Like Lady Butterfly, I have not beaten yet and I don't really need to, but I have no desire to because that actually is kicking my ass right now. And then Genichiro, because I've actually trained for him,
Yeah,
is not
yeah.
actually not that big of a problem right now. And again, I beat him, and I actually went back and beat him again just for the love of the game.
There we go. Jeez.
So I'm 5 hours into this. I'm just kind of the main thing I want to do is I just kind of want to speed run through most of the good moments, like the good boss fights, and particularly
Yeah.
I would really like to refight Ishin,
Hmm.
who Quinn knows this, but the audio listeners, don't know this. Ishin, the Sword Saint, is my favorite boss fight in a video game, and having the opportunity to refight him, I mean, I'm gonna try to do it. It's
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes, but it probably won't be too bad.
Yes,
Hopefully, it doesn't take
I
6 hours like last time.
I am definitely interested in going back to it as well. I might here. Or at least just kind of get to like you say like revisit some old parts or maybe even boot up my old file and try Ishin.
Yeah, because there's some parts of this game where like that are optional that I don't care too much about. It's like, all right, well, we'll just like I also beat the armored warrior guy earlier. Like
Yeah.
he screams Robert.
Yeah. Yeah, Robert,
I
his
beat
son.
him already, and then I already beat Genichiro. So I need to figure out exactly I know what I'm doing. I need to find Ishin, the base Ishin, and when I was trying to do it, I fell off the roofs. So I just got died. So I gotta do that again. But that's been really good. That's kind of the only thing I'm playing right now. Um, but I
Nice.
also did do the Crosscodes demo recently, and I
Oh right, yeah.
bought the full game for that because I really liked that demo. I have not started it at all. I don't know when I'm gonna start it, but uh, who knows? But that's something
Who
I've been
knows?
looking forward to, and that's all I have.
Yeah. And with that, I think that's everything we wanted to talk about, at least
Wow,
media wise.
that was a long episode.
It was
Uh,
a long episode. I imagine now that we've done this first one, we'll probably figure out how we can streamline it a little bit in the future.
sure,
Um,
we'll figure it out.
or if we want to do topics, or if we want to do different things.
Maybe,
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We're planning to just do this like once a month at the moment, just so we can really stockpile on things to talk about.
yeah. The goal was kind of just, hey, well, like once a month, what have we been playing? What have we been watching? What have we been reading? And just talking about that because that's at least like
Yeah.
monthly. That's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
And you know what?
No, that
That's
makes
not
sense.
bad. But thank you all
Yeah.
so much for listening to this edition of Four
Yes.
Squared.
Yes.
We'll be back. Uh, I don't know. We'll be
Next
back
month.
in about a month. And have a
Yeah.
good rest of your day.
Yes. Bye.